Okay. So, we all know this movie is going to be hot trash. I did an entire video on the trailer, and that had to say something right off the bat, because if I have something to say about the trailer so much that I had to make a video on it, that means something really stuck out. And usually when something sticks out enough for me to make a video on it, it's usually bad. Like I did an entire video on that 45-second teaser for Descendants 4, because no one asked for a Descendants 4. That was the main point of that video, is that we didn't need one, and nobody asked for it, and the movie's gonna be terrible anyway. So, I was really hyped when I heard that there was a Megamind sequel in the works. Even though it was going to go straight to Peacock, that wasn't exactly a death sentence, because the only other DreamWorks film that has been put to streaming was Trollhunters Rise of the Titans. And other than the last 5 minutes of the movie, I thought it was a really spectacular film. Just, again, bogged down by one of the shittiest endings in movie history. So, when that trailer came out, it was like being kicked in the testicles. And I mean no hyperbole here when I tell you that this is possibly one of the worst animated movies we have ever gotten. And I say this knowing that I have seen films like Food Fight, and The Emoji Movie, and Norm in the North, and a bunch of those shitty mockbusters that have come out in the past 25 years. I can't even think of a single Disney animated movie or Pixar film that could compete with this. The closest thing Disney has ever put out to being this bad, at least in terms of their animated department, is Home on the Range. Maybe Chicken Little. Actually, no, I'd rather watch Chicken Little than this. I really would. I really would. And this is easily the worst DreamWorks movie we've ever gotten. Yes, that includes Shark Tale. So, the main premise of this movie is fundamentally stupid, because he's pretending to be a villain because his old team, the Doom Syndicate, which, by the way, were never even hinted at in the first movie, they come out of fucking nowhere, thinks he's pretending to be a hero so he can take over Metro City, and he has to keep up the villain appearances until he can figure out a way to stop them. And this sounds like an episode of a bad Saturday morning cartoon. Honestly, the animation for this honestly reminded me a lot of Max Steel. And that's not exactly glowing praise, because Max Steel was a relatively cheap animated show that aired on Disney XD in 2014. So, when your movie that is a sequel to a high-budget blockbuster in 2024 looks like Max Steel, or I guess maybe Paw Patrol, your animation is fucking terrible. I was gonna say the animation again. The voice acting is very hit and miss. I think the replacement for Roxanne Ritchie is pretty good. She kind of sounds like Tina Fey, and even if she didn't, her voice acting is perfectly fine. Josh Brenner is a perfect replacement for David Cross. He does a fantastic impression, and ironically, I mentioned Max Steel a minute ago. Josh Brenner voiced Steel in the live-action Max Steel movie. And yes, I'm still trying to I've been putting off that video for a while, I don't know why, but yes, I will be doing a video on the Max Steel movie soon. So, yeah, we'll put that, but right now, that's been on the back burner for like 5 months, so we'll get to that when I get to that. The villains in this, I'll get to their writing in a bit, 'cause it's awful, but their voice acting, I guess, is fine, but their characters are stupid. You have the one character who kind of reminds me of the villain from Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie. I did not expect to be referencing Max Steel and Paw Patrol this much. But either way, her voice acting and her character model look exactly like the one from Paw Patrol, the Mighty Movie. And she'd be fine if her dialogue wasn't garbage. There's one mime-looking guy that can magically hypnotize people. It's a creative idea, but it's hardly ever used. I think it's only used twice. I think all of the villains use their abilities twice. Again, none of these villains really have much personality outside of one character trait, and that's it. Then you have the Himbo character in the group, which, if you don't know, Himbo is the big, strong one that has rocks for brains. And that's this big lava-looking monster that looks like the Fire Elementor from Max Steel. Again, I don't know how I'm getting so many Max Steel comparisons from this movie, but I digress. And then we have one guy who has a really cool design, a really cool look, but an intentionally shitty name. And most of the jokes with him revolve around him having a stupid name. The jokes in this movie are not funny. There was one joke that got a laugh out of me, and it was at the very end, where Megamind is fighting the big lava monster, and he does the classic, oh, look over there, and he says, and he basically says, I'm not falling for the oldest trick in the book, and then Roxanne hits him with a fire truck from the direction that he was pointing. That was actually pretty funny, because I expected him to actually fall for it, and for something stupid to happen, or for him to not fall for it, and then Megamind hit him, or like, surprise attack him or something. But something actually came from that direction, and I'll give him credit, that was kind of a creative joke. But that was the only one that was creative, and it was the only one that was funny. Speaking of characters, there's this stupid streamer kid that they team up with. Kill me. And she's actually part of the final battle, and she becomes part of the crew, and from what I've seen in the description of the TV show, it's about him becoming a streamer superhero. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to make it through that show. So, one of my biggest problems with this is Megamind's character. Right off the bat, for some reason, he is a dick to Minion. I don't know why. I thought the entire point of one of the entire points of the first movie is that he not only becomes a hero, he becomes a better person. Him and Minion patch things up at the end of the movie to team up to fight Titan. But all that seems like it's completely thrown out the window, and he's reverted back to how he was halfway through the first movie. I don't know when he became an asshole again, and he has a giant ego again, which, again, I thought he got over at the end of the first movie. He has a huge ego to him, I don't understand it, and he also became kind of a dumbass. Like, remember how he was still able to put his plan into motion to battle Titan without Minion in the first movie? Yes, he lost the fight, but he was trying to lose that fight, kind of. He was trying to build up Titan as the new hero of Metro City. But it backfired when he realized Titan is more of a villain than a hero, and he was actually intending to kill him, not send him to jail, like what happened with Metro Man. So it wasn't really his fault that his plan went off the rails. But here, he can't even get a fucking toaster to work without Minion's presence. No, that is not a joke. That actually happens in the movie. He has to call Roxanne with a 911 call to help because he can't get a fucking toaster to work. Again, apparently in between movies, Megamind dropped about 55 IQ points, which his name is Megamind. I thought he was supposed to be the smartest being in the universe, or at least on Earth, and now he's a dumbass who can't do anything without his minion. What? Oh, by the way, Minion has a name. It's Old Chum. Moving on. And there's even a point, there's some stupid dialogue in this. There's even a point where they pull the stupid Saturday morning cartoon route where Megamind says he went to villain school. Fuck off. This is supposed to be a sequel to one of the most emotionally riveting DreamWorks films we've ever gotten. It delves into the psyche of nature versus nurture, which is a very complicated topic to discuss with a lot of maturity, but the movie pulled it off while still being a lot of fun. You don't even have to notice the nature versus nurture aspect of it to enjoy the film. Hell, I didn't notice it until I was well into my teens, and I've been watching the movie since it came out when I was 7. So you're able to enjoy that movie whether you understand the psychology of the characters or not. This one, there's no psychology to these characters. They're all brainless idiots, except for maybe, even Roxanne gets some pretty stupid moments in here. So, yeah. Oh, and also the mayor, who didn't have a lot of screen time in the first movie, but it was at least kind of made clear that he had some level of competence to him. He didn't do much, but it at least showed that he was a competent mayor. There was nothing really wrong with him. Here, he's a pussy for some reason. I don't know why, but he is, like, deathly afraid of Roxanne for some reason. This guy is I don't even want to talk about it. So, I kind of started skimming this movie a little bit because nothing about it was interesting. None of the fight scenes were any good. The dialogue scenes were cringy as hell. And then halfway through the movie, the villains throw a dance party. Again, I'm realizing that half the things I'm saying happen in this movie sound like jokes. Like I said earlier, where me saying Megamind is so stupid he can't even operate a toaster on his own sounds like a joke, but it's not. And the villains legitimately throw a fucking dance party in the middle of this. I forgot to mention the opening where he takes on some fish gang, I guess, trying to steal a diamond-plated fish. I don't want to get into it. And it just seemed like the opening of a bad episode of The Flash. And again, a bad episode, which, in terms of regular TV, means a really, really shitty episode of television. The ending of the movie kind of rips off Avengers Age of Ultron, where the villain's plan is to send Metro City into space and, land it on the moon, I think. It's stupid as hell, but what ends up happening is the city starts plummeting back to the Earth, like Age of Ultron, and the heroes have to figure out a way to stop it while Megamind is dealing with the villains. By the way, this stupid-ass streamer kid is, like I said, is part of the battle for some reason, even though she has no business being here. And this is where the animation gets really bad. I noticed this when someone was, breaking down the trailer, or was breaking down, animation errors in the trailer, but I noticed it in full time when it happened, when him and Roxanne are coming out from behind the corner shooting tennis balls at the villains. Again, this sounds like a joke, but it's not. And the tennis balls aren't even, and they're, doing it in slow motion because it's doing a countdown and everything, even though before that, 2 shots had been happening, in between every second. It shows what's happening in the city, and 5 seconds pass in between each second. I counted. At least I counted the second time. But then it shows Megamind and Roxanne, they're running, shooting the tennis balls in slow motion. Tennis balls aren't even actually coming out of the nozzle of the launcher. They're literally just appearing on screen. They fire, it doesn't actually come out of the thing, it just appears on screen as they're moving the gun. It'll fire, and then it'll move, and it'll just appear on screen. Then it'll fire and move, and it just appears on the screen. How lazy can you get with the animation? So, long story short, he beats the villains, it's really stupid, and they set up the TV show with something, it was I don't remember the villain's name, but he's a floating brain with this suave British accent, played by Adam Lambert, of all people. Okay, and that is clearly a setup for the TV show called Megamind Rules. Not only is that a stupid name for a TV show, or a stupid name for anything in particular, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it. I know there are going to be some people who are going to ask what I think of it, especially after I post this, but I don't know if I can do it. This movie was draining. There were so many jokes in this movie where I almost fucking threw my phone. Because I was watching this on my phone, because it's on Peacock, so I was able to watch it anywhere. I was watching on my phone, and so many times when they made a shitty joke, or anytime that stupid streamer kid pulled out her phone and started live streaming, I wanted to fucking throw my phone. Partly because a phone is what she was using, and I kind of wanted it out of my hand after seeing her do that. So, yeah, there is a strong case for this being the worst animated film of the 21st century, and maybe of all time, because let's look at some other ones. North of the North. It's awful. It's really awful. The story doesn't make any sense. The writing, the dialogue is atrocious, and it's just a bear dancing around for 90 minutes. But the animation, even though it's god-awful, still looks better than this movie. And the voice acting was better. So, I guess North of the North wins. Emoji Movie. One of the most insufferable cash grabs of movies I've ever seen in my life. But the animation was decent. And that's it. At least the animation for that one was decent. And they convinced Patrick Stewart to play a literal pile of shit, so I guess they get props for convincing him to do that. Then there's Food Fight. I'll give Food Fight credit, the idea was okay. The execution was bad in every way. No, this one's better than Food Fight, at least. So at least you're not worse than Food Fight. This movie gets an F. Fuck this movie. This movie is a sequel to one of my favorite animated movies of all time. I don't think you guys understand just how much I love the first Megamind movie. I'm gonna have to do a video on it now. So, I'm gonna have to do a video on the first movie just to show you guys how much I love the first movie. How great that movie is. I've been wanting a Megamind sequel for years. And this is the garbage heap we're given. From what I saw, the people who made the first movie want to make a third one that will go to theaters, and I'm assuming have the original people make it to try to give the franchise some dignity again. Because the problem with a lot of DreamWorks movies, like big ones, they become victim to either memes or a shitty franchise. Shrek went on too long, but it seems like has come back now with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and it seems like the 5th one is scheduled for next year. Will that actually come out next year? I highly doubt it. But this franchise has been destroyed. So unless the original creators want to make another theatrical film, actually, you know what? Just make a regular Megamind 2, erase this thing, and make a legit sequel. Don't call it Megamind 3, make it the second one, forget this piece of shit ever existed. So that's all I got, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.